Things I wish people have told me before I started riding. And the interesting thing is, I guess there's only so much that people can tell you before you start riding. It's like you gotta learn yourself. And I guess we could start with my story. For me, when I started riding, I did not have any help whatsoever. I kind of had to just learn as I went. I started on a little Kawasaki 400 naked bike, and that motorcycle was so scary first learning on it. One thing I wish someone told me is that you need to wear gear. Accidents happen. People are idiots on the road as far as in the cages. You can have a really messed up day pretty much at any given moment. When I had my first motorcycle wreck, I had all gear on except for motorcycle pants. Have I learned my lesson? Not yet, clearly. So many people ride without being fully geared, like a full suit, because a lot of the time you're just hopping on your bike and going for a quick ride. You know, no biggie. I still have a nasty patch of road rash on my left knee that has yet to go away fully yet. And my accident happened about a year ago. It's healed, but it's still a big mark there right now, which kind of sucks. Always wear your gear. Another thing I wish someone told me is to always continue to learn. Learn your motorcycle, learn the rules of the street, go to some track days, really learn and understand your machine. Next thing I wish someone would have told me is to be careful with the modifications that you choose for your motorcycle. If you get a full exhaust or you cut off the catalytic converter, your bike's going to need to be flashed or tuned in order to fix the fuel ratio to make sure that your bike is not running too lean or too rich. Riding that motorcycle for a long time without flashing your ECU or tuning it, power commander, you name it, on a bike without a catalytic converter could be a recipe for disaster, guys. Now, I know back in the day some Gixxers actually came with no catalytic converters back then, but they were tuned already to accommodate that from the factory. And a little sidebar from that is making sure to keep your motorcycle as OEM as possible if you plan on selling it in the future. You can get away with a full exhaust and things like that, but for one, you're not going to get any of that money back that you put into that bike. So when you go out and you spend $2,000 on a full exhaust, you're not going to get that money back. The next guy who buys your bike for the same price with or without that exhaust is going to have a field day on your motorcycle that you're selling. He's like, wow, I got a full Akrapovic exhaust for free. And also, dealerships tend to devalue your machine with the more stuff you have on it. Me, I have aftermarket fairings, and they're going to see that and be like, well, those are not OEM, so we're going to have to, you know, not give you as much for your motorcycle as we would if it was fully OEM. But it doesn't affect the resale too much, but it can affect it. And you better believe they're going to use every tool in their arsenal in order to make the most money off of you. Private sale as well. So it's really interesting. Another thing that gets slept on is tires and maintenance. You got to keep your tires in great shape. Buy good quality tires. Make sure everything that you spend on your motorcycle is a fairly good expensive price. Expensive doesn't mean the best, but what I'm saying is you don't want to cheap out on anything on your motorcycle. Last thing you want is bad tires, have a blowout and go over a rail because you had bad tires. Bad tires are a recipe for disaster. There's a lot of good options. Michelin Powers, Dunlop Q5s. You got a ton of great options for tires. Now, Dunlop Q5s may not be too good for the track, and there's different tires for different instances. Seems self-explanatory, but you'd be surprised how many motorcycles I've seen out here with track tires. Another thing is insurance. You can get away with not having full coverage on a cheap bike. Have some liability, pay 20 bucks a month or whatever, and call it a day. But if you got an S1000, souped up ZX10, Aprilia RS V4, you know, bikes like that, have full coverage. My last motorcycle that I wrecked was a 636, and I did not have full coverage on it. As you can imagine, I'm regretting that every single day. And if it wasn't for me wrecking that motorcycle, I wouldn't have had to pay another $8,700 to buy this. Man, I've made a lot of dumb mistakes. I just wish somebody would have told me. And, you know, at the end of the day, you could blame yourself. I should have been informed. But in the motorcycle community, I would like to see more people talking about what you need to do and point out any mistake that you're making. It does happen, but not a lot. I've been to so many bike meets and it just doesn't happen. Now, one thing that I do wish someone told me, who actually told me, was a good buddy of mine, ZL1 Cam. We were at a meet before, not too long ago. No, actually a few years ago when I first started riding. I had detailed my bike for the meet. This is gonna sound so stupid. Tell me why I put tire dressing on my motorcycle. You just don't do that on a bike. It's not the same as a car. You're actually leaning your motorcycle, and having tire dressing is a recipe for you actually falling off your bike and low siding. I don't know why I did that. It was not smart at all, I'll tell you that. And the last thing that I want to end the video with, or what I wish someone told me, is that nobody cares about you and your motorcycle. And what I mean by that is, girls don't care. Guys, I mean, sure, if you're doing stuff to your bike, they'll be impressed. But even then, they don't care. Ultimately, ride these bikes for you and you only. Don't expect anything from anybody. That would be my #1 advice right there, seriously. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take it easy. Peace.